In this video, I'm going to explain how I picked up a plastering side hustle while still working full-time, without going back to college or taking any time off work. I'm going to show you exactly how I did it and exactly how you can too. So just to give you a bit of background, I was working up and down the country on the railway and I had a young family. I didn't want to miss out on my children growing up. So I took a job opportunity much closer to home. The problem is that it didn't pay nearly enough, and once all the bills were paid, there really wasn't anything left. At first, I did what most people do, which is try and work more overtime or look for opportunities for progression within that company. But even with overtime, it still wasn't enough, and so I knew I needed to make more money. Now, how I fell into trades, and specifically plastering, is I had a friend in the family who worked for a building firm. Now, he took the leap and started working for himself, and it really didn't take long before he was in like £1,000 one week, £2,000 the next week, sometimes like £10,000 in a month. And it wasn't just the money that was inspiring, it was the fact that he didn't rely on any employer. He completely worked for himself. He seemed never short of work, and he didn't have to wait till the end of the month to get paid. And that was really inspiring to me, and that's what I wanted. More than anything else, it highlighted the fact that I was completely dependent on this one employer for my sole source of income. And with a mortgage to pay, bills to keep up with, a family to look after, if they took that job away from me, I had no means of continuing to look after them. And so I decided I need that ability to generate income myself. As an adult, I should be able to make money without relying on anyone, any employer. So I started looking for trades. I started looking for a skill that I could pick up. The problem is that I couldn't afford to take any time off work, and I definitely couldn't afford to go back to college. The reality is, for most trades, you do need a formal qualification, such as electricians and plumbers, for example. And this is where plastering really stuck out. Plastering is one of the few trades out there where you don't need a formal qualification to actually start generating income. What you need is the knowledge and the skill set. So the first thing that I did is I started to get an education in plastering. I was watching online tutorials, YouTube videos, and to be fair, there are some great channels out there for learning. I also had an advantage. I knew somebody who used to be a plasterer who kindly lent me his tools while I practiced. At the side of my house at the time, we had a lean-to, and I boarded it out with plasterboard, and this was going to be the area for my practice. Now, it doesn't have to be a lean-to. You could use a shed, you could use a spare wall in your house. This is just how it happened for me, but you do need a place to practice. In plastering, there are 5 key stages that professional plasterers use to get a good quality finish every time. I could only dedicate a couple of hours a week to practice, as I still work full-time and had a young family, and sometimes it was only once every 2 weeks. But even so, it only took a couple of months for me to sharpen my skill set, and before long I was ready to take on my first job. So of course, I'd never done a paid job before. I had no experience or reputation to go by, so anyone watching this who's brand new to plastering is probably thinking, well, how do you actually start getting paid work? And like I told you before, I had a builder as part of the family, and he basically put me on game. He basically told me how to do it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for you right now. It's really not hard. There are platforms all over the internet where people are constantly uploading jobs every single day, and you can basically cherry pick a job that you're comfortable taking on or that suits your goals. And there are platforms like My Builder, Check a Trade, Trust a Trade. There are free apps like Nextdoor that you can use, which are great, but they're not as effective as the paid apps. Now, some of them you have to pay monthly. Some of them are absolutely free, like My Builder. There are no monthly fees attached. You can look at jobs that people are uploading every single day, and you're only actually charged when you show interest in that job and the customer shortlists you. So you can pick a job that is within your comfort zone, especially when you're starting off, and that's exactly what I did. Like I said, YouTube initially was my primary source of education in plastering, but you're going to see why now that you can't truly depend in reality on YouTube. Every job you're going to come to is going to throw a unique problem at you, and something that you can't preempt in YouTube videos, nor can you quickly find and scroll to that exact problem to find a solution, especially when you're out there on the job and you find it. Now, the first job I took on was a bay window ceiling. It had some water damage. I went round there, spoke to the lady, really nice lady, gave her a quote. There was a small hole. I thought I was going to stick some plasterboard in it, hopefully to a joist, skim over it, boom, done. In reality, when the day came, I started cutting out the hole. There was absolutely no joist to stick anything to. It was a completely floating ceiling. I didn't know what to do. And what made it worse is that the bay window itself was a very unique shape around the ceiling. And so cutting a piece of plasterboard to fit that shape turned out to be a nightmare. Needless to say, what should have took me and would take me about 2-3 hours a day to complete ended up taking me nearly 10 hours. It was a nightmare. And all I wanted was a YouTube video or a specific tutorial at that time to say, this is what you do for this specific situation, which there wasn't. And second of all, what I wanted more than anything else was a mentor, someone that before I even turned up to the job would have pointed out this problem, would have told me what to do and different ways to repair it. So that's really what I was hoping for, and that's really what I think if I could go back I would have had, because that would have saved me all that headache. Now, I did end up completing that job and I did it to a good standard and even got more work from that lady in the end. But the point I'm trying to make to you is that the education system was flawed and it really didn't need to be that difficult to begin with. After that, I started taking on bigger jobs, started taking on different types of jobs, and slowly but surely started expanding outside of my comfort zone. And this ended up becoming a really solid side hustle. I didn't need to do any more overtime and work. I didn't rely on that employer at all anymore. And I started actually earning more money from this side hustle than I could have earned if I'd done overtime. I knew that I could go full-time in plastering if need be, or continue to use it on weekends as a side hustle. The point is, I didn't have to worry about Christmases, birthdays, or saving up for holidays. The reality was, if I needed money, I could tender for a job, complete the job, and get paid. Now, plastering isn't the only thing that I've ever tried. I have had a few different ventures in the past. But one thing I'll say about plastering and about trades in general is that it's not a gimmick. You know, once you've got the skill set and the knowledge, you really can depend on it to generate income. And it doesn't matter where you're based in the UK or what stage you're at in life. If you're watching this video and you can relate to my story, maybe you're already stuck in a job and you need to make more money or want to make it independently. Or maybe you want to save thousands of pounds on your own home renovations while picking up a lifelong skill. Then attached to this video, I've included a link to a free plastering program, which will show you everything you need to know to go from zero experience to start getting paid as a plasterer. We'll cover the tools you'll need, the materials you'll need, how to prepare a wall for plastering, how to plaster using the 5 key stages, and most importantly, how to consistently win work and how to navigate platforms like MyBuilder. And if, like me, you can't afford to go back to college or take any time off work, then this is a clear blueprint that you can follow to start generating lifelong income that you can truly rely on. If you've got any questions, you can leave a comment in this video and I'll get back to absolutely everyone. But additionally, I've also attached my email. If you reach out to me and you need support, I promise I'll help you. This is a skill that's changed my life and I'm confident it can change yours too. Thanks for watching this video. Wish you all the best.